Hi everyone! Welcome back to another video from Codehal. In this video, we will create CRUD operations using HTML, CSS, PHP, and a MySQL database. You can see here there is already a user list table. At the top of the table, there is an Add User button, and in the Actions column on the right, there are Edit and Delete buttons. When we click the Add User button, we will be directed to the Add User Data Form page. If we press the Cancel button, we will be directed back to the main page. Now let's try adding user data. Here, if the input fields are still empty, and then we try to press the Submit button, a simple built-in browser validation will appear to prevent sending empty data to the server. Now I will fill in all the input fields, for example, like this, then click Submit. You can see, the data is successfully added to the database and automatically displayed in the table. Next, when we click the Edit button, we will be directed to the Edit Data form, and the selected user data will be displayed automatically in the form. Now, I will try to edit this data. For example, like this, then click Update. You can see the data is successfully updated in the table. Then, if we press the Delete button on one of the users, for example on data number 2 here, the browser will show a confirmation first. If we click Cancel, the data will not be deleted, but if we click OK, the data will be deleted from the database and will also automatically disappear from the table. Alright, let's start creating CRUD operations using HTML, CSS, PHP, and a MySQL database. But before we continue, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to my channel, Codehal, so you don't miss other interesting videos. And now, let's get started. Alright. Here I've already prepared a folder named CRUD, which contains one PHP file and one CSS file. For the local server, I'm using XAMPP, but you're also free to use other software such as WAMP, MAMP, or any others you prefer. Okay, now we can open the XAMPP control panel. Here we only need two modules, Apache and MySQL. Start both of them by clicking the Start button on each module. Apache functions as the web server that processes PHP files, while MySQL is used as the database server. And so that our project can run on the local server, I need to move this CRUD folder into the htdocs folder located in the XAMPP installation directory. Open the XAMPP installation folder, then go into the htdocs folder and paste it here. The htdocs folder is the default location where the Apache server reads project files, so our files can be accessed through the local server. Next, I will open this project using my code editor, which is Visual Studio Code. You're also free to use any code editor you like. This is the PHP file that I've prepared, and inside it there is already a basic HTML structure. I've also added a link tag to connect this file with the style.css file. For those of you who don't know how to quickly create an HTML structure, you can type an exclamation mark, then press Tab or Enter, and it will automatically generate the HTML structure like this. Okay, I'll undo it back to the original state. Next, this is the CSS file. Inside it, I import a font from Google Fonts and add several properties to the universal selector as a simple reset. You can write all of this code manually, or you can also download this starter code from the video description and then follow along with the steps in this video. Okay, now we're going to open this project in the browser. Type in the address bar localhost/our project folder name, in this case CRUD, then press Enter. We will see a blank page like this because we haven't added any content inside the body of our index file yet. Now, let's add it. Back to the code editor. Inside the body, we create a div tag with the class container, then an h1 with the text user list as the page title. After that, an anchor tag with the text add user. In the href attribute, we set the file name or page to add.php. We will create this page later, so this is the button to go to the add data page. Now we create a table. Table, then tr for table row, th for table header. We create 6 columns: no or number, name, email, phone, address, and actions. This actions will later be for the edit and delete buttons. After that, below here we create another tr, then td for table data, and duplicate it into 6 again. For now, we just fill it with any demo data, because we only want to see the table layout first before later actually fetching data from the database. Then, in this last TD, we create an edit button, and we will direct it to the edit.php page. And one more button for delete. Then add the class btn delete. And for now, leave this href value empty. Okay, now if we refresh this page, the elements that we created earlier are already visible on our website page. Next, let's give styles to these elements using CSS. Once again, make sure the CSS file is already connected to this page. If it is, now let's move on to the CSS file. First, for the body, we set the text color to 333, a dark gray color. Then the style for the container. Width 100% so it fills the full screen. Max width 1400 pixels so it doesn't get too wide on large screens. Margin, top bottom 100 pixels, left right auto to give spacing from the top and center it. H1, margin bottom, 20 pixels to give bottom spacing to the title. After that, for links or buttons. Padding, 8 pixels, 15 pixels. Border radius, 4 pixels so the corners are slightly rounded. Text decoration, none to remove the underline. Color, white. And a nice blue background. Now the style for the table. Table, width, 100% so it's as wide as the container. Border collapse, collapse so the borders don't double. And margin top, 15 pixels. TH and TD, border bottom. So there is a separating line between rows. Padding, 15 pixels. And then TH, text align, left so the header is aligned to the left. BTN delete, background, red for the delete button, and margin left, 5 pixels, perfect. Okay, before seeing the result, here we will first create files with the names add.php and edit.php. In this sidebar, we can click New File, first for the add.php page, and then edit.php. Now let's take a look at the result. If the appearance hasn't changed after refreshing, we can press Ctrl F5. That's because the browser is still using the cached version, so this forces it to reload the latest files. Okay, now, you can see our CRUD table already looks much better. There is an Add User button, a neatly displayed table, and 2 actions, Edit and Delete. When we click the Add User button, we will be directed to the add.php page. And when we click the Edit button, we will be directed to the edit.php page. Perfect. The next step is we will create a form to add user data. Back to the code editor, and we can go to add.php. Type the exclamation mark, and press Tab to create the HTML structure. Change the title text to Add User. And don't forget to also connect it to our CSS file. After that, inside the body, first we create a div with the class wrapper. Then inside it, create another div with the class form wrapper. And then H1. Add user as the form title. Now we create the form. Form, method, post, action, action.php. The post method means we send data to the server to be processed, usually used when we add or save data. Meanwhile, action here means that the action.php file will receive and process the data from the form. Later, we will create the file. Okay, after that, we can create the first input for name. Type text, name, name. This name attribute is important. This is what is used to retrieve data in PHP. Then placeholder for guidance text, and required, so it must be filled. After that, we can duplicate it to make 3. The second input is for email. Type email so the browser validates the email format. Name, email, and placeholder, email. The third input is for phone. Leave the type as text, change the name value to phone, and placeholder, phone. Then, text area for address, because addresses are usually long. Name, address, placeholder, address, and required as well. After that, create a div class btn box that contains the submit and cancel buttons. First, for the submit button, we create a button tag with type submit, class, btn, and name, add. This name add will be the marker or reference that we want to add data. And lastly, there's a cancel button to go back to the index.php page or our main page. Then also add the class btn. Perfect! Don't forget to save it. Now the elements are already visible on the page, let's style them. First for the wrapper class. Display, flex with justify content, center, and align items, center, so the form is in the middle of the screen. Min height, 100 viewport height. And background, F2, F2, F2. And then form wrapper. Background, white, width, 700 pixels, padding, top 40 pixels, left, right, 40 pixels, and bottom 50 pixels. Then border radius, 10 pixels. After that, H1, text align, center. After that, style for input and text area. Width, 100%. Margin, top bottom 12 pixels and left right 0 for spacing between inputs. Then padding, 12 pixels. Border, 2 pixels solid gray. Outline, none. Border radius, 6 pixels. And font size, 16 pixels. Text area, height, 150 pixels. And resize, none, so it cannot be resized. Lastly, style for the buttons in the form. First, for the wrapper element, which is btn box. Display, flex, justify content, space between, so the buttons are on the left and right, and margin top, 5 pixels. Then the button tag for submit and update buttons. Padding, 8 pixels. 50 pixels, border, none, font size, 16 pixels, color, white, border radius, 4 pixels, cursor, pointer, and background. And lastly, for the cancel button, background, transparent, color, blue, border, 2 pixels solid blue, and padding, 6 pixels, 50 pixels. Perfect. Okay, now we have a nice add data form with 3 inputs and 1 text area. And when we click the cancel button, we will be redirected back to the main page. Next, we will also create a form on this edit page. Back to the code editor. Just copy all of this HTML code and paste it into the edit.php file. First, change the title text to edit user, and then change the h1 text to edit user as well. And lastly, change the value of the name attribute to update, and the button text to update as well. Okay, now we also already have an edit data form, and when we click the cancel button, we will also be redirected back to the main page. Next, let's create the database. Open a new browser tab, then type localhost/PHP MyAdmin. Then press enter. Well, here it is, PHP MyAdmin. This is a tool to manage our MySQL database. Now let's create a new database. Click New on the left side here. In the database name column, type users_db. This will be the name of our database. After that, click the Create button. Great, the database has been created. Look on the left side, Users, DB has appeared. Now let's create a table to store user data. In the table name column, type Users, and this will be the name of our table. Then, in the number of columns, set it to 5, and click Create. Okay, first we create a column for ID with the integer data type. Then in the index section, choose primary. This means the ID column is the primary key. Then check auto increment, meaning the number increases automatically every time there is new data. Next, the second column is for name. Choose the type varchar. This is for text with a certain length. And for length, just fill it with, for example, 100, meaning a maximum of 100 characters. The third column is for email. Same as name, choose varchar, and length 100. After that, the fourth column is for phone. Type phone, choose varchar as well. Length is enough at 20 because phone numbers are not too long. And the last column is for address. Then choose the data type text. Text is used because addresses are usually long and there is no need to fill in length. After that, click the Save button. Now we have successfully created the database that we will use in our CRUD project. Next, let's connect the database that we have created with our project. Now go back to the code editor, create a new file, and give it the name config.php. First, we type the PHP opening tag. All PHP code must start with this. Now we create a connection to the database. $con, or short for connection, equals MySQLi connect. MySQLi connect is a PHP function to connect to a MySQL database. Then inside it, there are 4 arguments. First, localhost. This is the database server address. Because we use XAMPP on our own computer, we use localhost. Second, root. This is the default MySQL username in XAMPP. Third, empty. This is the password. By default, MySQL in XAMPP doesn't use a password, and because this tutorial is only for learning purposes, I leave the password empty. And fourth, users_db. This is the name of the database that we created earlier. After that, we add error checking. If, not con, meaning if the connection fails, die. Connection failed, MySQL, connect, error. The die function will stop the program and display an error message. So if there is a connection problem, we can know what the error is. Next, we can go to the index file, and here we will retrieve data from the database and display it on the page. First, above this HTML structure, we create the PHP opening and closing tags. Include config.php. This is to call the connection file that we created earlier. With include, it is as if the code in config.php is copied here. Then we create a query to retrieve data. $query equals MySQLi query, the first argument. Connection. This is the connection variable from config.php. Then the second argument is the SQL query. Select star from users. Select star means take all columns. From users means from the users table. Okay, after the data from the database has been stored in the query variable, now let's display the data in our table. Here, create another PHP tag, $no or number equals 1 for the table row number. Then while $user equals MySQLi fetch assoc query. MySQLi fetch assoc retrieves 1 row of data from the query result. While means repeat, as long as there is still data. After that, don't forget to add end while here to close the loop. Next, inside the while, we can remove the static text in each of these TD tags. For the first TD, we will use it for numbering. So here, we create a PHP echo tag, $no++. This means display the number in the no variable, then after it is displayed, its value will increase by 1 for each next row. Then, in the next TD, we will display data from the database. Create another PHP echo or just copy it from here. Then delete this and replace it with $user square brackets name. After that, we just copy this one. The third row for email, then phone, and lastly, address. Perfect. So, this user is an array that contains 1 row of user data, and we retrieve the data by mentioning the column name. And when we refresh the page, no data appears in the table because we indeed haven't added any data to the database yet. So now, let's continue to the process of adding data to the database. Okay, now we create another new file named action.php. This file will handle all processes: create, update, and delete. First, create the opening PHP tag. Then, as usual, we include config.php first for the database connection. And then if isset $_post add. This checks whether the button with the name add is pressed. Remember, in add.php, the submit button has the name add. If so, we retrieve all the data from the form. So inside this if statement, we create $name equals post name. So here we take the name data from the form, then store it in the name variable. After that, duplicate it into for. The second data is for email, then phone, and address. Then we run the insert query. MySQL query, connection, insert into users, column names, name, email, phone, and address, and then values. $name, email, phone, and address. After insert, we redirect to index.php using the location header. And lastly, exit to stop the script. This is important after redirect. Okay, now let's try it. For example, I fill in the data like this, then click the Submit button, and the result is the user data immediately appears in the table. I try to add one more data, and that data is also successfully displayed in the table. If we check in the database, the data has also been stored correctly. Now, let's continue to the edit process. The first thing we need to make sure of is, when the edit button is clicked, the user data that we want to change must automatically appear in all input forms on this page. So, first we go to the index file. Then, in the href attribute of this edit button, we will add an ID parameter. So here we can add $ID equals echo $user ID. This means we send the user ID via the URL to the edit.php page. That way, we can know which user we want to update. Now we will display the user data on the edit page based on its ID. So we can just copy this part of the code, then go to edit.php and paste it here. After that, create a variable ID equals $_get square brackets ID. This GET request is used to retrieve data from the URL. Remember earlier, we sent the ID parameter in this link. Well, the ID in the link is what we retrieve here. Then we can add an SQL query here, where ID equals $ID. So here, we only retrieve data with a specific ID, not all data. After that, create a variable user equals MySQL fetch_a_sock query. So here we will also retrieve one row of the query result and convert it into an array so that we can display it inside the edit form. Okay, now let's display the data inside the edit form. In this first input field, add the value attribute, echo $user name. For the next input, we can just copy it, then change it to email, then phone, and for the text area, the value is not written in the value attribute, but between the text area tags. So we just need to add echo $user address. Now let's try it. Don't forget to refresh the page. For example, we want to edit data number 2. Now you can see the data automatically appears in the edit form. And if we select data number 1, the data also immediately appears according to the user we selected. Next, we want that when we edit the data and then press the update button, the data in the database is also updated, and the table on the main page also displays the updated data. Okay, first we also need to send the ID parameter, $ID equals echo $ID. So, when we press the update button, this form will send the ID to the action.php file so that PHP knows which user data should be updated in the database. Then in this action file, we will process the data based on the ID that is sent. Now we just copy this add data code block. Then change the condition check, replace add with update, because now we want to process the update button. Next, duplicate one of these variables, then change it to ID, and change post to get, because the ID is sent through the URL. After that, we create the SQL query. Update, users table, set, column names. The first column name is name equals the new value, which is $name. Then email, phone, and address, where ID equals $ID. This is important so that only the selected data is updated. If there is no where, all data will be updated. Then redirect as well to the index page. Okay, for example, we want to edit the data in row number 2. I edit the data like this. Then click the Update button. Now we can see the data is immediately updated in the table. And if we check in the database, the data has also been updated, meaning the update process was successful. Perfect. Now we continue to the delete data process. First, we go to the index file. We just copy this href value, then paste it into the href of this delete button, then change the target file to action.php. So when the delete process is executed, we also send the ID parameter to the action file, so that PHP knows which data should be deleted. After that, we add a simple confirmation alert here. So we can add onClick, then return, confirm. Are you sure you want to delete this user? So for example, if the user accidentally presses the delete button, the data will not be immediately deleted. The browser will display a confirmation first to make sure whether the data really should be deleted. Okay, now we go back to the action file. We just copy this if statement, then change post update to get ID, because in this delete process, we send the ID parameter via the URL. After that, delete these 4 variables because we only need the ID value. And now we create the SQL query. Delete from users table, where ID equals $ID. Finally, we also redirect to index and stop the script execution. So here we check whether the ID parameter exists in the URL. If so, then the code block inside the if will be executed. Now let's try it. When we press the delete button on one of the users, the browser will show a confirmation first. If we click cancel, the data will not be deleted. But if we click OK, the data will be deleted from the database, and automatically the data will also disappear from the table. Alright, in the end, we've successfully completed the CRUD operations using HTML, CSS, PHP, and a MySQL database. I hope this video can be useful and add insight for you. If this video is useful, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the Codehal channel so you don't miss more exciting tutorials about coding and web development. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and see you in the next video.